police academy opus was started in San Francisco. Paul Maslansky got the idea there.
People who understand comedy, who have a funny bone. And working with you, Wilson, casting was one of the great experiences.
I can't think of a movie where it was really more like a team project.
We had two remarkable casting directors, Pamela Baskin and Fern Champion.
And every time we found a new person, we got very excited about it.
So every day that we would have casting sessions into the office with you, Wilson, and myself, with either Pamela or Fern, the casting directors in the room, would come the most remarkable characters.
My screen test, it was exciting. I was just starting out. I just got done with Diner, and I wore my father's police shirt from the academy. My dad was a police officer.
Right away, he had an attitude, which was perfect.
I think this guy's great. I thought he was wonderful. I mean, I loved him from the beginning. He loves to hate.
We are the meanest instructors here.
I was never bad. I was never mean. I was misunderstood. I had a mother, and he was probably pretty much of a mama's boy. And so he's just a character, just a fun, broad character that's great to...
This goes on that is so rich and so full. And the man who played Lessard is so full that with an empty character, there isn't any room left. He's filled it up so much.
There was an actor, a French actor, who was partly my inspiration. He was called Jacques Tati, originally a Russian count by origin, a man of great charm and wit, and I owe him a debt of gratitude. A lovely man.
I can't quit. Of course you can. Many, many wonderful people have quit. Many, many. Commandant?
There was a very nice philosophical moment in the scene with you when you complained to me in the office, remember? Right. And you finally say,
I'm trapped here? Well, yes.
And then I look up and I say, aren't we all?
Hugh said then, he said, do you want the job? I said, yeah. You know, and he says, doesn't pay that much. I said, I don't care. I want the job. He was basically loved everybody, you know, and showed up. You know, he would just appear. And I kept asking Hugh, where am I coming from? You know, he said, it doesn't matter. You just show up and help.
Sort of creature, and she's afraid of everything. Everything scares her, even air. That's what they told me when I read for the character.
Wow.
And she said, would you like to read? And I said to myself, I met Michael Jackson last night. He said, you girls were so good. I love this show. And he kissed me on the cheek. And I said, yes. And they said, you don't have to read. We're going to test you Monday.
If people thought that her voice was that soft, they in for a rude awakening. You know, I don't know how she got that low.
They paid me.
She's the loudest woman I know.
Things, and she did it nobly and beautifully, and she was a great addition to the opening of this film.
Hugh Wilson created an atmosphere that you wanted to improv.
They hired people with talent, and then they let them play that talent.
Hugh Wilson and Jerry Paris, they would say, what do you have for us? Each time to shoot the scene, and we'd think, well, we have to do exactly what, you know, usually you do what the script says. And they would always say, hey, show us what you've been working on. So we worked on things.
But for some of the little subtleties and nuances and things like that, he left it up to his actors. And he said that he really liked to just let the camera roll. He said, I want to just keep it in master and let the actors do their stuff. And
when you have that kind of freedom, your confidence just keeps growing by leaps and bounds.
Said, oh, I've got plenty of friends. Right. And because Hugh said we
with their own wardrobe.
Exactly.
Right.
And
very important.
250 of them showed up.
Right.
And I think the smallest one was about 6'4", you know, 250. And they all had the black leather outfits, and they just looked mean as hell. I mean, they were very, very intimidating. And there we are dancing with these knuckleheads.
And your guys are very good dancers, I must say.
Well,
really good.
That goes without saying.
Scotty really is actually very light on his toes. Really.
Light on
what
his
are you
toes.
saying?
His feet never touched the ground. The guy was flipping them all over the place.
That he's commandeered.
I was in the back of a truck on a motorcycle with the guys, what they call the poor man process. They had a 2x4 on the wheels, shaking like that. So I was going like that in the back of this truck, and it was speeding, so it looked like I was driving. And of course, it was the great stuntman, Dar Robinson, who we later lost.
I mean, he was a legend. You know, he was a high-fall specialist. He had done That's Incredible, the parachute jump, the descender jump off the CNN Tower, which was the world's largest freestanding structure. I think it's over 1,800 feet, and he was absolutely fearless.
He ran that motorcycle up to really fast, and then we had a car pull in front of him, and he struck it.
I was the car that pulled out in front of him. And on the very first take, we had all these boxes behind the car that he was supposed to land into.
The idea was he had to come over the motorcycle without catching his legs on the handlebars, and then he went flying for, I don't know, it looked like 10 yards to me, 30 feet.
People to this day ask me, well, how did you actually do that? As if they swear they remember that my head was stuck in a horse's ass. And I said, well, believe it or not, we did it. I had
laugh. It made me laugh as well.
Sure did.
You know?
Now, this is a guy who's, he does Chekhov, and he studied opera in Italy and everything. And he said, I just wonder, it seems to me we're skirting a fine line here between funny and vulgar. And I said, well, I have a feeling it's both funny and vulgar.
But somehow I got around to it, and the way of doing it, be still, but express facially what might have been my reaction to what was going on. And that seemed to be the right procedure. It worked.
When we tested it, just had the audience on the floor. I mean, they couldn't, it took them a while to recover from that scene.
Alan Ladd Jr., who was running the studio, running the Alan Ladd Company, who actually was the company that I made this picture for, and Warner Brothers. It was Laddie who came up with that. It was just terrific. And Laddie said, I'll tell you what, we've got one really great joke in this picture, one great joke that always plays well, and that's the podium joke. And with George Gaines. Why don't we reverse that at the end and shoot a little scene in which the joke is in effect reversed? And
Steve and I, and that was really great.
When I started Police Academy, I sensed it could, as an institutional comedy, it might have a shot, but I never thought it would do what it did. Never, never, never.
And on opening night, I got calls from a lot of the actors. They had gone down to the Grauman Chinese Theater and all that to see if anybody was going to show up.
And I remember I watched it from the projection booth because I was so nervous. And the film ran, everybody laughed, and I walked out, and my manager grabbed me, and he pulled me aside, and he said, I'm putting you into a TV series immediately. This is going to be the biggest bomb Hollywood has ever seen.
The remarkable thing about it is that the comedy translates into every single language. It's very visual comedy. It's kind of slapsticky, and people always respond to slapstick, it seems.
It's just that they were internationally such a success, and we've made so many friends all over the world.
We were in Madrid, and there was this really long line, about a block and a half long, of people waiting to go into a movie. And I thought, well, I guess Spielberg's got, something in town. And damn if it wasn't, I think, Loco de Police Academy.
Oh, Police Academy. Fantastic. I love this Police Academy. Beautiful film.
The best thing about the Police Academy movies are the fans.
I get stopped in the street or somewhere. On the train coming here today, there were people saying hello and thanking me and all that.
I'm almost 60 years old. I'm just standing out in the middle of a restaurant going, Proctor! And they all scream, and like I'm a rock star. I'm an old police academy rock star, screaming Proctor to the crowd.
Walked in that stadium, they said, High Tower, 80,000 people. High Tower. I said, boy, my whole football career has gone down the drain because of a movie. That's how powerful that movie was.
I could be notorious, you know, I mean, it could be worse. I could be, you know, famous for things that are fairly ugly. But if this is what life has handed me, I'll take it. It's great.